Hello, and welcome back to my home here at Okarga Farms in Northeast Oklahoma. I'm Chip Jones, and I've just gotten home from work, and I'm so excited because I'm ready to get a project completed. We've had another day of rain here in Oklahoma. Since I moved to Oklahoma 8 years ago, I've never seen so much rain. I'm loving it in many respects because I don't have to run home and water plants in the evenings, but it has kept me from finishing so many projects. And so I've had to look for time at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day or on a day off. And it's really kind of pushed a lot of the projects back. I thought I would have so many more things planted by now, but I've had to kind of spread things out and kind of work in between so many of these showers and storms that have been going on. But the weather is wonderful. I mean, we're in the 70s today, and to be in the 70s in Oklahoma in June is feeling pretty good, I must say. But it's time to get the front porch all pulled together. We're actually going to be having some guests over in a couple of days and going to actually have a little special luncheon. So we're going to put the containers together for the spring, and then I'm going to add just a final layer just for having some special guests that we'll do at the very end. So if you'll come along with me, I'm going to show you what all I have pulled, and let's see if we can get these pots all put together tonight. So as you can see, I've gotten a jump start on these containers. A couple of days ago, I went ahead and brought in the trellises. We'll show you a picture of a couple of designs that we've had in the past. At Christmas time, we use the evergreen topiaries. Been a couple seasons since I've actually had the trellises up here, but we spent a couple of days of getting everything prepped. I actually painted my containers. I have new containers on order. They look pretty good, but there are a lot of little rusted out spots. So I went ahead and found some new containers. They're actually going to be a little wider at the top. So I'm going to see how those are actually going to turn out. But these have just gotten a little too rusty in places that they're starting to fall apart. So it's time for some new ones to certainly come in. Went ahead though and brought in the trellises and then planted our mandevilla vine. This is going to kind of be the feature plant. You know, one of the things that I like to have when I'm doing containers, I'm 6 feet tall, so I like containers to kind of come up and meet me. There's so many containers are down, you know, kind of half of my body length, so to speak. They're kind of down at a certain level, and I like to bring the height up as much as I can. It's really hard to do sometimes with just plants, so that's why using different kind of structures, things like sticks and bamboo and all kinds of different wire structures are a great way to do that. So I've had these for a few years now. I'll probably even continue to use them once I get the new planters in because I just love them so much. But went ahead and worked to get the mandevilla put in because it was a little bit like wrestling a bear to get these all in. They were on their own bamboo trellis. We actually had to take the bamboo away from the mandevilla, put this trellis on, and then wrap it up. So I wanted a couple of days so that the mandevilla could actually start climbing. And if you'll look on up here, what a great job it's already done. It grows so fast, does so well. So just had a few branches here and there that I kind of had to trim off because they broke off, but overall it's done really well. So now what I'm going to be doing is just filling in around the sides. I love a very lush, full mix of plants to go around the bottom of these containers. And if you look down here, I've pulled out a pretty good selection of plants that I'm going to be picking from. Of course, I start with these planters, so I always have a big selection of plants to pull from. And then because I use the same colors around the garden, I'm going to be using these somewhere else anyway. So I like to go shopping at the garden center and always pull a little bit more than what I need because I know I can use those in other places. I'll just start with my more primary containers to begin with so that I have plenty to work with. And just a quick rundown on what I'm doing. I'm actually doing a lot of pink this year. I've done a lot of coral and peach colors with purple, as you can see from the drift roses and the catmint. I always have those colors in. But as you saw in the last video, I've added in these beautiful pink Preppy Winners Supertunia Vista Bubblegum that are just supposedly going to take over. It's my first time to use them. Of course, I've seen them for several years. People have been using them, but I cannot wait till they actually grow all into this area here. So what I did is use that color tone to match my other plants that I brought in. And with that, I'll just do a real quick rundown of the plants I'm going to be using for green, for kind of spilling over. I'm just using your basic asparagus fern. To add just a little color of purple to bring over that catmint color, I'm using the scaevola in a kind of a mid-purple tone. I have the just regular begonias. I have more of the Supertunia Vista Bubblegum. I don't know if I'm going to use those in the planters because I know those can be a little aggressive, but we'll wait and see if I decide to. I have lime green sweet potato vine, and then probably my go-to plant for doing some containers, something a little bit different, but as you can see, I think it matches the color tone really well. These are verbena, and it is the bandolier series, and this color or variety is the lychee variety. So a beautiful dark pink, light pink, has a little bit of yellow tone in there. So when I saw that and knew how well it's going to match to the petunias, I thought that would be a perfect pick. And then I think I just need to add a little bit of pizzazz, some arching elements to the container to get maybe up to that kind of mid-level range in the container. So I'm going to be adding this variegated plectranthus. Plectranthus for me does quite well. Maybe sometimes around August, if it gets too much sun, when we have that severe heat, it can really get stressed out. But overall, it does really well for us. So I think it's going to be a great addition. So what I'm going to do is actually just run through, try to put these containers together quickly because I really don't know what I'm going to do just yet. Then we'll come back. I'll give you a rundown of what I actually chose and we'll see how they turned out. So as you can tell at this point, I have dispersed some of the plants, and of course I haven't used everything that I originally had put out, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and take one and make a prototype, see how I like the placement of the plants, move things around and get one set so that I have one that I can look back on to see what I actually used. Really only having to think about it one time, and then the rest of the time I'll just be copying. So now I'm going to get started placing this one in, and we'll see how this one looks once I get finished. All right, well, I think I have my prototype ready. I think you saw that I tried using some begonias in there, but I've heard many of you say when I do containers, that's too many plants, that's too many plants. So I did back off, even though I'm trying to get instant gratification by adding a little extra since I have guests coming. But I'm going to leave a little bit more space. This lantana is supposed to grow 18 to 24 inches, so it should fill in just great. I'm just wanting more of that pink, more of that punchy color. And of course the scaevola will certainly fall over the edges. I think that's going to be enough of the draping. And then the plectranthus, I'm just wanting something to kind of fill in that mid-range so that there's some kind of movement up here. It may get a little too aggressive and I may have to trim some of it back, but I just love that reaching out and kind of spreading habit to it. And I think it'll be great to have some variegated foliage in there as well. So now what I'm going to do is just run around, get all of these other pots put together now that I have a prototype, so it should be fairly easy. So I wanted to show you what the porch actually is going to look like probably for most of the summer. Typically, I just keep a couple of ferns up by the front door, and then I let these be the showstopper, so to speak, out here at the front. You know, when we remodeled the house, we built this landing. I wanted a large landing spot before it had just a tiny little sidewalk that actually just came right up to the front door. But I wanted a much wider place that I could have these grand pots and create a bigger atmosphere, a more welcoming atmosphere. And this is certainly a place that we like to dress up when we're especially having special events, having guests over. We do something a little special. But for the most part, this is what it looks like throughout the summer season. But one thing I do like to do is add a little more punch if we're going to have guests or a party or something. And the ferns, I don't actually plant. I just plop those down so that they can be easily removed. We've done fresh flowers in there. We've done different combinations of plants. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do today. Just kind of, again, plop some different plants down in there that I think you're going to see a major difference once I get finished. Heard them. So what do you think? I think it looks a lot more colorful out here for sure. I think it's really going to make a statement. I love using these Matilda hydrangea. We grow these out at Sanders Nursery, and we try to have them around for a good time of the spring and summer because they're those great grab and go hydrangeas. You know, a lot of these you would typically see maybe in a grocery store or maybe even a florist. These are those that have really been pushed out to bloom for a holiday, and boy, don't they make such a statement. And just look at all of this beautiful color, and it really starts to bring that pink and purple even more up on the porch. The great thing about these is the price. We sell these for $24.99 out at the garden center, and you have these beautiful deco pots that we put them in, and I think that is such a great price for such a great product. And just by adding these few plants around, and these will actually last for weeks as long as I keep them in the shade and keep them watered. That's the key about having a plant like this. It's a great porch plant, but you don't want to put it out in the full sun because it'll really waste away quite quickly. But if you'll just look at how they complement the plants that we did here on the planters, of course, we're going to have more and more blooms on this pink mandevilla as it goes throughout the summer. We'll have those larger bursts of color from the lantana, the scavola of the blue. I mean, it really looks so well, and just look how well it complements the rockin' play in the blue salvia. Again, this is one of those plants I say everybody needs to try to grow this. Proven winners, rockin' play in the blue salvia is so easy. You don't have to hardly do anything to it. It just blooms all summer and the pollinators love it. And just look at what a statement it makes here on the porch. So I really think the front of the house is coming together quite nicely. Of course, it really looks nice when it's cloudy and not so hot out here, and it's a great place to get outside and certainly wander around the garden and just enjoy all of the bloom that we have right now. So I think that's going to wrap it up here today. And remember, if you liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, or if I didn't answer a question, I'd love to hear from you and see if I can get you that information. And I look forward to seeing you again soon in another video.